thing, so they have to be careful of this Talon snowball.
Yeah, well, they have two very interesting comps, but at least Ezreal and Karma, they got a little bit of push priority. Maybe very vulnerable to those hooks, as you said, if they ever are able to connect. But for now, two very different compositions. We said early game, we said OG, we want to see you snowball. OG have a different approach. OG, very different strategy coming in. And while their team comp feels like something we see in the meta pretty standardly, Unicorns of Love continue to mix things up. And if you're a fan of mixing things up, hashtag UOL win at LO eSports. Or if you are a diehard xpeke fan, Origen fan, or otherwise, hashtag OG win is where you want to put your vote. We'll check on those later in the game. We'll see where the loyalties lie.
I think a lot of people on this one are just looking at Unicorns and being like, yes, this is the Unicorns we want to see. It only takes them being at the top of the group and facing an undefeated, an unwinning team at the bottom of the table for them to start bringing things out that are a little bit funky again. But Unicorns, they're showing us a little bit more of that crazy play style we like to say from them.
Well, we're excited. The audience is excited, and that means it's time to get into game one. Origen versus the Unicorns of Love. Sounds like a Love Hertz crew is out in force as well. Unicorns chance versus Peke chance. One very fiery Warwick pick. This is very aggressive fan cheers. They are battling.
Do we have to
I hope
separate
that your eagerness and your level of volume reflects the level of aggression in the game. But for now, it is the calm level 1 stress.
The calm level 1. Always boring, but it's nevertheless, at this point, you said it's going to be a fiery game. Fiery mid lane summoners as well. I don't really know how much I like Ignite Orianna, but I guess it's kind of necessary against the likes of like Warwick.
NaeHyun wants to kill somebody.
He does.
And I think you got to respect that choice.
I respect it, but if you want to kill things, maybe Orianna's not the best pick for the laning phase for killing things. You can do
that's
it.
Fair.
You can do it, but generally not. Watch him kill Exile level 6
yeah,
now.
well,
like 1v1, ignite him.
Curse.
Yep.
Well,
now I've reverse cursed it, so.
Now, see the early jungle pathing coming out. No one going to start the Raptors. Neither one of these characters with a lot of AoE clear to start that game. So it will be blue buffs for both sides. And have to see where the early jungle aggression goes, or if it's just going to be that farm fest.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Warwick jungle. Great against individuals for sustain. Terrible against lots of camps, because his actual early clear sucks. So at least on the first few camps, nice to get a lot of help. And you see that's why Xerxe helping on, or starting on that blue buff. That's the second flay that Hylissang has just walked up and used on Peke and Tabzz. And he's caught both of them and harassed them on the back end. Like, Hylissang is fearless in this early game.
Yeah, Peke not using that mantra Q, maybe trying to hold on to it, but definitely risky. He is going to throw it onto the creep wave, maybe just hoping to get the push out here.
Trying to hit that level 2. Get it faster than Unicorns, but you can see Hylissang just moves forward, dodges the skill shot, and nothing really can happen for Origen to hit level 2 first. Now you know Hylissang's got that hook. If Origen don't respect this, one of them's going to die very early on.
Oh, and they are respecting it, but they're already zoned off. Creeps, Samux and Hylissang are taking absolute control of this lane and just trying to shut down any early farm coming in for Tabzz, even going so far as to stand in front of the minions so he can't throw out a Mystic shot and connect.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the thing about Ezreal and why he's normally a safe lane is you just sit behind the minions just like Caitlyn does, and it means Thresh can't hook you. However, if the Caitlyn Thresh have already hooked onto the trap.
That's a lot of damage. Oh, you got to feel for xpeke. That's just, these guys have practiced that combo so much. Unicorns of Love have said it. They love the synergies, and oh, it's just so tough to deal with.
I love the synergy flayed back onto the trap. Mid lane though, Xerxe.
No, Jaws of the Beast, fear in, nice flash, NaeHyun. Backing off, good patience from NaeHyun, but Exile goes in, ignite, first blood! Oh, the patience on both sides.
The ignite fight mid lane already goes in favor of Exile. It's only level 3 for both of them. Flashes under the tower into range after the setup from Xerxe, and Unicorn's first team on the board.
And look, things are going so well for Satorius on the top side of the map. He's got that CS advantage, but everything else is falling apart for OG, and this is not at all what we wanted to see from them in the early game.
So this is the setup mid. You can see Talon already having the 2 procs down. Exile comes in, gets more damage down. Ignite comes on. NaeHyun ignites, hoping Exile's going to take a second tower shot. It would have been enough to kill him if he had, but Exile flashes back out. Nothing really NaeHyun could do that, and Unicorn's off to a good start.
Hashtag calculated, I suppose. But we brought this graph, and the reason we want to talk about this is why we saw the opportunity for OG to win in the early game. You see, Unicorns love, they fluctuate a lot in that early game. But man, you come 20-minute mark, that spike is huge. That spike is massive, and you cannot afford to fight against Unicorns love when they can find leads like that as you approach the mid game. And that's why we wanted to see the early game, but stress now, it feels like it's all mid to late game in the side of OG.
Yeah, you have to feel that if it goes 70 minutes, like Origen rock at, maybe that's the time that Origen will have this far superior composition. At that point, Caitlyn will have some damage, but for Unicorns, they get so good past that 20-minute mark because that's when Vizicsacsi seems to take over a little bit more on the playmaking, the teleporting in, looking for fights. He's tanky enough on most of his picks that he can have that major influence in team fights, and it seems to really steady the Unicorns. Their target selection is very good, and they end up winning fights that a lot of teams generally wouldn't if you were given the same opportunity.
Such fantastic proficiency in team fighting, as you mentioned, and Unicorns love bot lane continues to pressure out. Now, we haven't seen the TPs come in for either top laner. They seem, content to battle it out. But when those start to come in, Hylissang is kind of the man we expect a lot from, but Satorius is one of the few members with a little bit of a laning lead here. I feel like the pressure is on him, especially on a Gragas pick.
And this is a pick for Satorius that we have seen out of him for almost a year now. In Challenger, very strong pick. He can dictate fights. He's able to lane very effectively. He was playing it before a lot of people were playing it just generally around the world. And when he was doing it in Challenger, we were thinking, well, it works for him in Challenger, but is it good enough for the LCS stage? Generally, I think it's been the one pick you can say actually it has been for Satorius and has been a bit of a shining light in Origen's better performances. It's hard to say anything like wins because they haven't put them up on the board, but certainly Satorius has been improving throughout the split. It just hasn't been enough to keep Origen afloat.
Well, and right now for Origen, of course, it's not about keeping afloat. It's about taking down those teams in the promotion tournament. It's about improving as much as possible. And so far, definitely rough in the early game. But is it enough to take down the likes of Misfits Academy, to take down either PSG or Fnatic Academy, depending on who can make it through?
I think that's a really rough question because Misfits Academy just came last week to the CS playoffs with a completely different spirit. Everybody thought it was going to be Schalke coming through that would easily get their way into the LCS. And that tells me the competition is a lot higher in that promotion tournament than we were actually anticipating. If the top team in Challenger, undefeated, couldn't even make it there past the playoffs. So Origen have got a lot to work on over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that level of unpredictability. I feel like every time we go to Challenger playoffs, you never know who's going to come out on top. It's just always so unpredictable.
Always. Millennium, multiple times.
But for OG, they have to nail this down. They have to find some degree of consistency, and up against Unicorns of Love is a great place to start. But for now, no major leads going to either side, just the first blood, just some CS.
Now, with the flash down on Exileh, can you get the ball on Cinkroff with the ultimates, pair them together and get that kill in mid lane? It's what Rengar Orianna generally are good for, but look at the vision control that has been set up from the Unicorns of Love around mid lane. Control wards. I mean, Cinkroff already killed one, but there's 2 wards now alongside. Rengar is never getting into this lane effectively to kill Exileh, and Exileh's flash is going to be up before long.
It's so rough because that ward is about to die. If he comes 30 seconds later, if there's a way to adjust the path, maybe he has an opportunity. But ooh, Cinkroff and xpeke kind of reading the play there from Hylissang. Not in a good spot to punish, but in the right spot to clear out the vision.
But it is buying more time for this flash to be available. They now know that Cinkroff and xpeke are around mid, so Exileh's not going to play aggressive in this lane. He's just going to wait for it to push towards him a little longer. However, is it bot lane that this first play comes in? Hylissang is alone.
Cinkroff goes forward. There's a trap down. They're not going to pursue it. Not sure where the Warwick is, maybe, but OG stepping off the gas. Not wanting to risk giving up anything else here.
We're going to find where this Warwick will end up soon. The ult is available. We're going to see him jump onto somebody. Interested to see, we haven't seen Warwick here in Europe since like week 3, the week after release.
We saw Jankos play it once.
Yeah.
We've seen Xerxe, of course, we've seen Xerxe play it, of course.
It was banned against Trick in G2 a couple of times. And a lot of junglers had different builds on Warwick. It was like the Tiamat into Triforce, some junglers were going, some were going Warrior Enchant first, and I was kind of wondering where it would settle, and then we just saw Warwick completely fall off. So I'm excited to see him back. It's fun seeing him jump halfway across Summoner's Rift, lock someone down.
It is very exciting. But I feel like he's one of those champions that it's more bark than bite, right? You see that blood set indicator over your head. The first week you play against, you're like, this is terrible. He could run in and kill me at any moment. And then you look at his kit and you go, but he doesn't do any damage. So he probably can't run in and kill me at any moment. And maybe we're going to see something here that's the new Warwick. We're going to see how this pick advances, what the thought process is for Xerxe here. But for now, it looks pretty standard to what we see in solo queue.
Honestly, I think it's Xerxe playing it to be annoying to Origen. Because if you played up against it, the howl that comes off every time you drop low, and then you get the music and the thing on the screen that starts going. Like, he's just wanting Origen to be as uncomfortable as possible in this game.
I mean, it is a pick that does that, right? Unpredictability, pathing, can zoom in from anywhere. It's like a mini Rengar. You know, no
but
stealth.
From like 5,000 range away.
Yes. Well, he does look like he got spotted by the ward. Not quite clear where the vision is on that one. But Unicorns of Love setting up for a play around the bottom side. No, now backing off and turning their attention instead towards the mid lane. Both junglers in position for good counter ganks, but no one taking the opportunity. Ooh, Tabzz though. Taking a bad trade there. Samux locked up, is going to take the lantern now.
And you can see Unicorns had already backed away from that play, not wanting to waste any time bot side when they could establish vision. So Xerxe goes back up into the jungle, puts down a control ward. Exileh puts him down as well. Hylissang wants to go on this.
Ooh. So close there. Exileh goes over the wall. Cinkroff. Oh no. Still okay. Talon not going to get anything. Yeah.
For a Talon Warwick composition, this is actually incredibly composed not to just go, okay, we're going to jump in.
Yeah, it's time to flash. It's time to flash away. There's a Talon jumping at me. But no. Scary caped man will not find a kill yet. However, things still pretty much in favor of Unicorns of Love. They got pressure. In two of their lanes now as Nautilus pushes out on the top side. Orianna and Talon trading blows, and Samux playing as aggressive as ever, but neither team, despite what we might have thought from the early picks, blowing the game wide open quite yet.
Not yet. No major fights yet. We've had one little engage now. Chachi wants to try his luck against Satorius. They're two tanks, so it's not really going to work out too much. NaeHyun has gone towards the Seeker's Arm Guard first, looking for that tankiness. Zhonya's first Orianna. Got himself that mana to go alongside it with the Lost Chapter. I feel like NaeHyun's got a pick that isn't really going to be able to compete with Exileh in the lane, isn't going to be able to compete with Exileh with roaming because Orianna's not particularly good at that. And with Ignite alongside it, you can't match with like a TP, you can't survive more with a barrier. This Ignite is like literally to try and just pick up kills and stop some of the healing that Warwick has.
And I feel like if he had that heal in lane, he may have survived the first gank. But
maybe, yeah.
Hasn't worked out for him so far. However, he is in a good spot now with that Seekers, as you mentioned, with that Lost Chapter to just sit, to wait, to soak up farm, and just to keep the game going. But yeah, there might not be any explosive kills, but Sam's just continuing one auto attack at a time to chip down this bottom turret. He's looking to open up the map for his team.
Samux was anticipating Tabzz actually to go passive and just cut the wave with that True Shot Barrage. Exileh jumps in mid.
Oh, locked up, stealthed up. Gonna walk away, but Cinkroff can still see him. Will he get the jump off?
Now this is where it's really annoying, because you're gonna burn like flashes and blast plants.
Oh, blast cone.
He's going to jump back over.
He's going to jump back over. Oh,
he's going to do it.
Vizicsacsi's here. Cinkroff does get the snare up. Exileh takes down one before he drops, but it's a one-for-one trade. Unicorns Love, they're going to get the bot lane tower in the meantime because Xerxe is there to back him up.
Yeah, Xerxe actually ulted. I didn't see whether he caught Tabzz or Peke, but Unicorns take the tower. They lose Exileh on top side, but they got the kill on Cinkroff to even it up. Trying to catch that Talon, bringing 3 members of Origen over is everything that it took, and Unicorns take the first objective of the game.
And Unicorns, you can see there on the screen, 46% of the time they get the first turret. Their early game, not always the cleanest, but they're still keeping it cleaner than Origen. And for first blood, this metric where they're so close, OG still not able to find it in this game, but they are able to get a kill back. And the goal difference, though, despite an almost even trade outside of the tower, is now massively in favor of the Unicorns of Love.
It's very interesting that Unicorns, being a top-of-the-table team, have such a low percentage on First Blood. Typically, you'd expect if a team is that good to be so far out ahead, especially given the start that Unicorns had, that they didn't get First Blood so often is actually quite surprising, but it's indicative of their playstyle for later. They generally are better in the later team fights. This was the exchange in mid. Eventually, Exileh would get caught, but it took him jumping over 2 walls. I guess the third is kind of like that scene in Hot Fuzz, where they just crash over the fence. See,
right.
now, look, he's making it look good. That's...
All right, Exile versus Defense. Oh, no. To be fair, I don't even think he gets a chance to jump. It's not quite like the scene from Hot Fuzz. Oh, hook connects into Cinkroff, though. That's bad. Fear goes in. Cinkroff set to fall now, and xpeke is just going to be next. Unicorns of Love. They grab the double.
It's all gone wrong.
NaeHyun. No, he missed! That's bad for OG NaeHyun. Not going to get anything back. Triple kill for Exile. Satorius is going to grab one in the end, however.
Unicorns will get top tower from it. Yes, there is, again, a kill going over to Origen, but again, everything is all about the Unicorns. And these fights aren't even composed. They're not clean from the Unicorns. This isn't like taking 100% fights. Unicorns are just going, well, we know we're going to come out ahead from this because of how likely we are to get the kills. Let's go for the play. Tabzz.
Oh, where's the fear? Jaws of the Beast coming out. No, gonna use the infinite duress. Exile's just going to kill him. They're too far ahead. Here comes Chachi as well. What are they doing? Peke, I don't know if you can pick that fight. Looking for the snare. Samux is here. Cinkroff just wants to get something. He just wants something, but he can't get it. It's just nothing left. Exile just still on the hunt, still looking for blood. Vizicsacsi gonna pull back. Exile moving forward to not get hit by the cask, but for Unicorn, this is a bloodbath, Stress. It took a couple minutes to get started, but Unicorns will have absolute control of this game.
Thought it connected. Yeah, absolute control for the Unicorns. Even pushing on for the inner, they won't get it for now. But Xerxe 0-0-6. Alec Trevelyan in the jungle right now for Xerxe. His golden eye is set right on to the Unicorns of Love's objectives. I mean, you can see why the Ignite has come out from NaeHyun, because that lifesteal was ridiculous under the tower. It was what we had already kind of mentioned earlier, but you can see why.
I guess someone has to take it against the Warwick, right?
Yeah.
Someone has to mitigate that healing, but I don't know if that's a good enough reason. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, he's got a clear plan.
I mean, he wasn't here, though, so it wouldn't have saved Tabzz. Nope. So at this point, Xerxe just heals up under the tower. It doesn't really matter. He just runs away. And I mean, Origen, they feel content here. There's 2 of them against 3. Xerxe's low health, so of course the Rengar's going to jump on Warwick and blow him up.
Oh, no.
Straight away.
It just feels so bad. Your Satorius, your Cinkroff, you're like, I got this kill. This kill belongs to me. This will be mine. I will make this happen. And then you get the heal coming out. You get the Jaws of the Beast to heal as well. You get the Thresh Lantern to dodge the Gragas cask. It's brutal.
Can we just highlight that Exileh has picked up every kill in this game? He's 7-1 at 16 minutes. That's a strong Talon with a Dust Blade and a Ghost Blade and probably quite a lot of gold. He's set on about 400 gold, so it's not that much. Chachi trying to get away.
xpeke blocks the hook. Snare coming in. Not strong enough to tower dive the Nautilus, however. Not with the depth charge up and available. So while Origen are trying to make a play somewhere on the map, trying to force something, Unicorns of Love so far ahead that they can just move right onto this tower.
So we've been talking about Origen, maybe early game. You come out, you look effective, you pick some early game jungler, and you take a lead. That wasn't what they drafted, and now Origen basically are up against a snowballing champion that is snowballing so astronomically heavily that I don't think anyone from Origen, maybe any 2 players from Origen, can actually stand in front of him.
I mean, I think if you put 2 people in front of him, he's going to kill one and then jump over a wall.
Right, exactly.
It's that nightmare point where there's just no right answer to dealing with the Talon. You send 2 people, it goes somewhere else on the map, you still probably lose a guy. This is a massive lead. 6,000 gold, Stress. It feels just about insurmountable already this early in the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at 20 minutes, Unicorns are going to switch to the Baron, and Exile is either going to be able to put so much damage down onto the Baron or zone away everybody from Origen.
Oh, no.
That there's not much of a chance. I mean, now they've caught Tabzz. He's not
no right answer.
This one.
He doesn't want to give Exile another kill, but he doesn't have a choice. Exile's dominating 8-1.
So Exile, for his kills per game, is ranked within the top 5 players worldwide. I think this might push his average up a little more.
Yeah. This is a little stat padding right here. And I mean, we've all played against him, folks. We've all played against the Fed Talon. I have no idea how to deal with it, but I'm a terrible League of Legends player. And OG they're struggling right now. And I just don't know if there's a right answer to dealing with a Talon pick when Exile's just never being locked down anywhere on the map.
Not this far. Definitely not this far. I mean, maybe 2 or 3 kills, you can easily kind of set up vision and stop hemorrhaging kills where you're out too far. When he's 8 and 1, he's going to jump walls fast enough, Ghost Blade onto you, and just kill you before you can ever get a screen's length away from him. That's the problem is with Flash, with his mobility, his ultimate. He'll get on you just like this.
Xerxe's running forward. Where's the hook gonna go? Connects on to Cinkroff. Out comes the depth charge. Up goes the cat. Down goes Cinkroff. That's just too easy for Unicorns of Love. They have so many tools at their disposal. They are so far ahead.
30 seconds until Baron. Unicorns are just gonna have to sweep out all of the vision. And Origen don't really have any way to get closer to the Baron pit. They have 1 blue trinket right now. All of their other wards have generally been placed. Yeah, there's none even on the Sightstone right now without a recall from Peke. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think Unicorns have to take the Baron in 20 minutes, but they certainly can with this setup they've got. They are so unbelievably far ahead.
Now, looking ahead, we kind of have to judge how well Unicorns of Love can close this game out, because we can see. We know from the standings that they are the stronger team right now, that they have the stronger teamwork, players, whatever you want to credit to, that they are ahead. But the question is, how cleanly can they do this? Because you're not going to always find leads like this in the game. And if you do, if you're against a team that can find a way back, you can't give them an inch at all. And so let's see, are they going to give OG an inch? Are they going to transition into this and leave open weaknesses or opportunities for OG to come back?
It's Unicorn, so they're probably going to look for the clean play, and then they'll have it set up, and something will go wrong, and they'll flashily get their way out of it with the play anyway. But it's like Exile will end up coming around the side and getting like a quadra kill.
Well, for now, it is that notoriously slow Warwick Nautilus duo clear. Now, keep in mind, they can't really kill the Warwick, and once Baron gets below 50% health, he will get the attack speed steroid, but
it's genius, right? This is Unicorn's genius. Nobody's expecting just Nautilus or Warwick to be doing the Baron. Caitlyn's in mid, Talon's in top, and now they come around when it's 3k health and burn it down.
That's one way to do it. That is a mix-up. I would never expect that. Very risky in obviously a lot of different circumstances, but not risky here. Now when OG can't really afford to leave their base, can't afford to lay down that vision without knowledge of where Exile is, without knowledge of where the most of the team members are. So Unicorns of Love advanced, almost 10k up, only 21 minutes into the game. They got 3 minutes of this Baron buff, and they may just be able to break the base on the back of this.
Yeah, there's not too much that Origen can do. They do have the Orianna for wave clear alongside the Gragas. They are typically good champions for wave clear, but consider now the Baron buff has been applied to the Unicorns, and anybody that stands in front of Exile is going to get dove and won't survive. It's kind of a rough spot to be in. Xerxe as well can assist from so far away. It's really tough to even wave clear successfully against his Unicorns lineup.
I mean, look, Stress, we see this, we say, OG, we want to see you guys get ready, we want to see you prep for the promotion tournament as they are locked in. We wanted to see from Unicorns of Love, we wanted to see clean closeouts. Right now, we're seeing Unicorns of Love dominate. We are seeing what we expected from Unicorns of Love, and for OG, I don't really feel like we're seeing that big learning here. I don't feel like they identified a solid way to win the early game. And despite their efforts to make moves back, it just hasn't worked out for them.
Yeah, the problem is Origen have never really been looking for the engage with the Rengar, the Orianna. To be honest, there's not been too much of the game where they could have even looked for that. That's the problem, is this game got out of hand so quickly, so early on, that Origen didn't really have the opportunity to react. And that's why it's looking so dominant now, because you're not killing Chachi. Exile's going to kill all of Origen. There's not really any opportunity without Unicorns making a colossal mistake. This game is basically done unless Origen can turtle for another 30 minutes.
I mean, you got a Caitlyn who's matching pace with the Ezreal and has the trap set up, and any one of those you land on, it could be a Thresh hook to follow up. This is brutal to watch.
Yep.
And for Exile, right now, we talked about it. He's bloody. 8-1-0 this game. Currently holds the record for most kills in a game this spring. That was 14 kills as Corki versus Giants. And at the rate he's going, he may just break that record here.
We'll see. Although, I don't know whether there's enough Origen members left after one set of kills to get that far ahead. Peke.
Cinkroff, got a block for the boss. I respect that strategy.
He wants his spot in the promotion tournament. I mean, Origen are locked in already. Just wants to make sure he's there to keep the team in. probably not the best choice of wording, but Origen right now, they are there. They already...
He wants a spot in the LCS,
Yeah,
and he's got a chance to fight for it, Stress.
Yeah, he wants to be able to fight for it.
There you go. For now, Unicorns of Love, it's the rinse and repeat, folks.
Yeah.
We've seen it. It's the set up the Caitlyn traps, auto-attack the tower, anyone steps on something, you knock them out of the game. But the variation here, ooh, nice cancel on the cast, is that there's a Talon who can't be stopped, slowly split pushing on the top side of the map. And Origen, it's the bleed out. It's the death by 1,000 cuts.
Well, it's happening. It's these cuts are coming in fast right now because Unicorns of Love are pushing all the way and Redemption comes through. But this is a team that is so much stronger than the teams Origen will be facing. Here's the attempt at the play. This is the last chance for Origen.
Oh, Satorius, no cask. Not doing any damage here. OG are too far behind, and Exile's on the back line. Samux kills Cinkroff. xpeke is gonna fall. Unicorns of Love. It looks effortless at this stage of the game. 50k to 36.7. It's clean, it's clinical, it's calm, it's collected, it is dominating. This is the Unicorns of Love style. And they're not hesitating to show it here against Origen as they move on to the Nexus, as they set their sights on what could very well be a 2-0, but for now it's gonna be 1-0 up in the favor of the Unicorns of Love.
Extremely quick game. Not the fastest of the split. That was the Splice Vitality game from earlier this week. Only 2 minutes longer on this one. Unicorns of Love with the Talon getting so far ahead early on that Origen just could not hang on. And we're going to game 2.
It's brutal to watch.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, shouts to fans in the studio, Unicorns fans still cheering hard, OG fans, or xpeke fans rather, cheering hard for him as well. So spirits still high. And OG gonna have to keep those spirits high as they come into game 2. You can't afford to fall behind like that again. I don't know if you can afford to let Talon go through either. It just feels so like such a strong pick.
That's a weird thing to like hear. I can understand exactly where that comes from, but
is it the Talon? Is it the Ignite on the Orianna? Is it
Well,
I mean, what?
There's a lot.
Is there any one thing that we can point out here in the early game? Because it's a lot of small mistakes that lead to these giant leads.
Right, and that's the thing is that they get the first blood onto Exileh and never look back. And Unicorns of Love looked like they were in control from even before that moment, really. And that was like level 3. They were already dominating bot lane, so what if like Xerxe had gone bot instead? Would it have been Samux that was 9-1? Because they were already creating leads on the map. It's so difficult to tell right now when there's such a disparity between the two teams.
And the plays are so close in the early game, right? It's the difference between one tower shot to go even on that 1-for-1 trade. But as you get into the late game, suddenly there's a 5k gold lead. It's not as close. It's the difference between maybe 6 more tower shots, maybe 2 more members of your team present in a fight. But we're going to have to see how Unicorns of Love are going to adapt, change their draft, see what OG can do to come back. Let's parkour over to the analyst desk in the meantime.
Thank you, Draco.
That is not parkour.
Wasn't it?
No.
You don't know that. All right. Anyway, let's talk about this game. Obviously, it was a first-place team taking on the last-place team, so we had expected it to be a bit stompy. So we want to dial in on some of the specific picks. And you guys were talking a lot about Warwick.
We did talk a lot about Warwick. Before we get to that little guy, we were actually looking at the draft. Just like overall, I think the Unicorns draft was super risky. Like a lot of physical damage. The draft from Origen, better scaling. I felt like it was like an overall solid draft. Problem obviously is it's Origen versus Unicorns, so in that sense you can kind of throw the draft out. And then the Warwick had a pretty good start.
Yeah, he did a pretty good gank mid to kind of relieve pressure as well as forcing the enemy mid flash, getting him chunked, which would be really good for opening up the town to roam or get a free reset and then go back to lane before the enemy mid laner. NaeHyun did a really good job of flashing to escape it. However, he kind of got a bit confident and then died because Exileh just flashed in and killed him. It was pretty well played by Exileh too. And then at that point, just Talon got snowballing. The Warwick could actually like move around the map and ward because Warwick has trouble actually ganking a lane pre-6. However, if he has pressure, he's really good at just going into the enemy jungle and warding because he can actually 1v1 a lot of junglers. Warwick is a really strong duelist.
If you're in a solo queue game and at 16 minutes the enemy Talon is 7-1, what is the plan?
Alt F4 straight away.
To do what? Just close it, and that's not something you should do, by the way. That's not advice you should give people.
No, it's not advice?
No.
I thought it's what pro players did.
No. Oh, in a scrim you mean?
Maybe that's why I'm not pro anymore. That's where it went wrong. All right, this was the gank you mentioned. This is obviously going to be a montage of Talon going off. I mean, once the Talon is 7-1 at 16 minutes, the game is obviously done.
Yeah, and you guys, yeah.
I mean, yeah, just once he gets a few kills in the early game, he can just jump over walls and just kill everyone. And there's really not much counterplay.
And you guys were even saying that with the risky draft, even if all these kills didn't happen, just the sheer margin of difference between the level of OG and Unicorns of Love kind of forgives the risky draft.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I think, and I actually said this in the Misfits series against you guys, which then turned out to kind of go wrong for Misfits, but I was like, if you play a lower ranked team and you're basically locked in playoffs, I think it's fine to gamble on certain drafts and kind of challenge your players to show what they can do on stage with this specific one, like with the Talon pick now, with the Warwick. Like these might not be picks that she'd be 100% confident will be top tier picks for them in playoffs, but now he's testing them and see how they work. Obviously, Misfits couldn't really execute their comps too well early on, which is one of the reasons you guys also did mention just outplayed them completely. Yeah. But I think it's perfectly fine what Unicorns are doing. Perfectly fine, although, you know, every 2-0 win they get, of course, gets them closer to that semi-final buy-in for spot. But let's talk about Origen. Maxor, as being on a team that has turned everything around, what can you kind of do in games like this, or what can you take from games like this that you know, well, we are probably going to lose? Where do you find kind of the means of improvement, or what should you be looking at?
I think it really just depends on the team atmosphere. Like, if a few teammates have just given up and they're just like complaining about life and stuff like this, then it's not going to work out well for them. But if they just buckle up and try their best to take as many games as possible, because they might not be in LCS next split, or during the break between spring and summer, they're not going to be learning as much as they are in LCS. They should just try to take the games and improve as much, because none of them are the best players in the world, so might as well just learn from this experience. But when you guys were 0-7, like Origen were, you know, back when you guys played them, you guys were basically in the same situation where it felt like every game you played, there were not just one mistake, there was like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 problems that needed to be fixed. Yeah. As a team, how do you deal with that? Like, do you just say, okay, let's take one at a time, or do you just feel like let's just keep doing what we're doing, at some point it has to click, or... There's so many problems. I think when we were 7, or same with Origen, you just need to be honest with yourselves and find what works with you, what picks, what compositions, or what playstyle, whatever. And you just have to work as a team to execute it as properly as possible. And I think that's how we've made a comeback. And Origen could do the same if they find their playstyle, which they really haven't found, I think. Right, and technically they don't have to do it in any of the LCS games, but they have to do it in the promotion tournament. But when you see someone like xpeke there on screen, that realization of like, you know, I was once one of the best, and then trying to make it work now, that is where you have to leverage that experience, I guess. For sure. Sadly, he doesn't have any experience as a support. Yeah. You know, and that's one of the big problems for him. And it's not like he's showing in the game. I mean, there's smiles right there. You know, they're still cheering a little bit, so that's good at least. They obviously know this series is not the one where you make your big grand comeback. Yeah, well, we will see what they